Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Carr. Senator McKenzie. We can't hear you. We can see you. There you are.
Chair.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You've got the floor.
Well, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ms Holgate, for your evidence today. Thank you on behalf of community post offices around the country. What a turnaround to their financial sustainability, thanks to your leadership. A lot of the questions I had have already been asked. My questions really got to stepping out that you acted within your authority in the purchasing of the gifts for your senior executive team. There's been a lot of commentary, obviously, that this didn't pass the pub test, but it was all within the rules. Could you talk us through the detail of that, please?
It absolutely was in my authority. There is no question that it wasn't in my authority. They were rewards for 4 people, and the chairman was aware. You've seen the card. I'm sure I don't have to tell everybody. I think that's been well publicised in many newspapers of the words of both myself and the chair. It was a moment of great pride in our people. I could have awarded those 4 people up to $150,000 each as a bonus. I chose not to. I chose to give them a watch. It was a moment of pride for them. And those gifts, rewards were given on, I can't remember the date, but it is inside my submission, so I'm sure you've got that date.
Yep.
But it was a moment of celebration in the organisation. And they were signed off by the CFO at the time. Fringe benefit tax was in there. They were audited. There was never any question whatsoever from anybody that they were not in any way breach of any policy.
So no Australia Post employees or board members raised concerns with you about the purchase of these
None
gifts?
whatsoever. On the contrary, everybody was very proud. It was a defining moment in our history. It was the largest capital investment into the company by an outside organisation. It was critical, Bridget. Angela can tell you. I would love the opportunity for Angela, if that's okay, to answer part of this question.
I'm going to ask Angela this when she actually has her chance representing licensed post offices, because you're right, not just for the taxpayer with the $70 million dividends, not just for the financial sustainability of our LPO network, but for rural and regional Australians to actually be able to do their banking in their local community. It's transformative. So I think people that can head down to their local bank on a tram or a train take it for granted. Those of us that have seen bank closures across the regions for decades. This was very transformative at a very local level too.
Senator McKenzie.
I wanted to just go... Oh, sorry.
Senator McKenzie, 55% of communities of Australia no longer have a bank. This particular service lost $48 million in the year prior, and before CBA committed to actually work with us. And Mark Corder from Corder Mentha actually attended meetings with the banks to evidence that that loss was real. So we were in face of closing the service, and this transaction saved that service, brought that important investment into the post offices, and very importantly, it enabled the post offices to have a new technology platform. They'd had none in 30 years. None. So, I mean, I just think that's staggering that we were actually letting them operate on such an old system.
I think this committee, the decade I've been involved in politics, has done a lot of work in the Australia Post piece, critical of previous CEOs, in particular Mr Fahor, who didn't have an investment approach or to see the opportunities available out in rural and regional and as part of the network. So So thank you. I just wanted to briefly go to within Australia Post around sorts of gifts. There's been some commentary that this was an anomaly, that this is the thing. My understanding from your submission is that's quite the contrary. Were gifts given to senior executives in lieu of cash bonuses previously within the organisation? Was this quite part of the course?
Angela, you were in the organisation.
It wasn't given to the licensees, but we were certainly aware of a lot of excessive expenses. We have often requested information about how many people that were not related to business of Australia Post were taken on a 5-star luxury jaunt to the Olympics in 2012, with Mr. Fahoa. 5-star, first class, and it was at, we believe, licensees' taxpayers' expense. Right, and it'd be interesting to look at who the treasurer was at the time, and there was not an eyebrow raised.
Who was the treasurer?
Yeah, we might have to follow that up. Just finally, I know...
Mrs. Cramp, who was the treasurer at the time?
Mr. Morrison.
Mr. Morrison. Senator McKenzie.
Okay, thank you. I know Senator Canavan may have some questions, but I'm just wondering, Ms. Holgate, who, in your opinion, told Senator Kitching about the Cartier watches and why?
I don't know, Senator, and I think all senators are allowed to ask questions. That's the point of this process. Okay.
To understand, in the recommendation 6 of the Maddox review into this issue, it said, and I quote, there was no indication of dishonesty, fraud, corruption or intentional misuse of Australia Post funds by any individual involved in these matters relating to the purchase and gifting of the watches. I mean, given that was the finding, in any other organisation, would you have been able to go back to work?
I think that's pretty obvious. I should never have been not at work. There was nothing to justify unlawfully standing me down.
And just wanted to briefly touch on, given the timeline of events and, you know, given yesterday's announcement, events may have overtaken. But, I mean, what would it take or have taken to have you come back to Australia Post as CEO?
Senator, I believe that you're aware I've been asked by many people from all political parties about whether I would return to work, and my answer has been very consistent. I love Australia Post. There's no day, you know, that I don't admire and respect the people, but I cannot work for a chair that lies in the Senate and does not have integrity. The chair would have to go.
The chair would have to go. Thank you, Chair. I have no further questions.
Okay.